How y'all doing?
Good.
Well, I was trying to figure out.
Let's see, oh, that's one. Trying to figure out how to start this, so I got this. I got a priest, a minister, and a rabbi. Well, they all wanted to see who could do the job the best. So the priest goes out in the woods and he finds a bear. And he reads a catechism to him, sprinkles him with holy water, and next week the bear's taking communion. Well, the minister goes out in the woods. He finds a bear. He preaches the holy word, and the bear was so mesmerized, he got baptized. Well, the priest and the minister are looking down at the rabbi, who is on a gurney in a full body cast. And the rabbi looks up and says, in looking back, maybe I shouldn't have started with a circumcision. Good start.
Oh my goodness!
A bear. Rabbi 0, bear 1. Okay, today we're going to talk about God's power. How does God help us in our everyday lives? Well, we know that in the past, God has done some kick-butt things. Created the heavens and the earth. Made man in his own image. Then came the flood. And I can tell you, when Charlton Heston took that staff and with God's power parted the Red Sea, I was mesmerized. That's so dynamic. God helps us in many ways. In Exodus 34:10, then the Lord said, I am making a covenant with you. Before all your people I will do wonders never before done in any nation in all the world. The people you live among will see how awesome the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. Again, how does God help us in our everyday lives? And a lot of times we don't even know it. God loves each one of us for who we are, because we're all different. Who we're with, how we think, how we respond to different circumstances. All of us are different, no two the same. In footprints it says, God says, when there's only one set of footprints, I carried you. How many of you ever had a circumstance where you feel you'd have lost it if God hadn't been there? I had a friend in the service who, for those of you who haven't been to Camp Pendleton, which is probably most of you, not you, Michael, but from the Woman Marine Barracks to the back gate was 10 miles. If you didn't have a car, you didn't do much. Well, this friend of mine, they were having cleanup day in the company office, which was in the barracks. So she's going to go out with some friends to a restaurant that's a mile past the back gate. So she goes to the restaurant, pulls in, parks, gets out of her car, and this van pulls up behind her. This guy jumps out and grabs her and is trying to pull her in the van. Well, she ain't got to go. So she's fighting him, and they're going back and forth and back and forth. Suddenly, he realizes he's not going to get her in the van. So he stabbed her and left her in the parking lot. Well, she said, I knew I was going to die. And what did she do? She says, God, don't let me die alone. Help me to get to my friends. So she gets in her car. She's bleeding like a stuck pig. She gets in her car, drives through the back gate, And she said she didn't really remember driving. But she knew she did because she got there. And I could see this. I don't know if y'all can. I could see God's hand coming right down over that steering wheel. And during the time she's driving that 10 miles, he's guiding her so she didn't go off the road because she asked for help. So she gets to the barracks, pulled up in front of the barracks, staggers in. Of course, they all went crazy, called the MPs, the local police, the ambulance. And she still thought she was going to die. Well, they get her to the hospital. She's back to work in 3 weeks, moving slower, but she was fine. Then there's a man who went to war. He's in his barracks in a war zone, and they bombed the barracks. That wasn't nice. He's buried under the rubble. So they finally get him out and they take him to the hospital. And they said, "You will never walk again." He says, "God, only you can help me. Help me to walk again. I will sing your praises. There's things I want to do, but I will live a life for you." And I think the Lord did a pretty good job. Don't you, Michael? That was Michael, by the way, that was buried. Then there's Peg, who went for a routine mammogram, and it showed a mass. Well, even though she's an RN, that's terrifying. And her mother had breast cancer. So we came to church. We put her on the prayer list. Everybody's praying like crazy. I was doubly crazy praying. And so she goes back for another one. It was gone. There was no evidence it had been there. But we all travel a different path. No two paths are the same. And no matter what path you have to travel and what happens to you, God's going to be there with you. Margie went for a routine mammogram. They found cancer. They found it early. What if she hadn't gone for a year or two? But they found it early, she's getting treatment, and she's here.
Amen.
I think that's pretty good.
Amen.
Then there's my brother, walking his little dog. They get attacked by a pit bull. Well, the pit bull grabs a dog. My brother grabs the pit bull. And my brother's 73. So as anyone knows anything about pit bulls, they're muscular and powerful. And he's grabbing him, choking this pit bull down, trying to get him to let his dog go. And he finally got him to let it go, but he got bit several times. And then he's got the pit bull. What's he do? So he's yelling for help. And these two guys that had just got to the RV park, they came to help him. They finally got him separated from the pit bull, who ran off. But they got him. But anyway, the guy goes back to his wife and he says, "Honey, I have no idea how that man held that pit bull." I said, I do. Told my brother, I said, that was a God thing.
Amen.
Because I know my brother, and he's very religious. And the first thing he would have said, whether he remembered it or not, "God help me, I can't do this." Now we all pray for different things. Big things, little things. Doesn't matter. It's important to us. And about a year ago last September, I started praying that Peg and I would get closer together because we disagreed on a few things. But, I thought, well, if anybody can help, it's God. So, like clockwork, every Sunday after communion, I prayed that we'd be closer together. Now, I may add a few other prayers in there, but that was the one I was focused on. And so then in February, we find out our niece who was living with us was robbing us blind. About the tune of $13,000 to $14,000. And so, you get in turmoil, you feel betrayed, you're angry, you want to beat somebody up. You're hurt so bad. But we just, like clockwork, communion, there I am saying it no matter how angry I was. I was pretty angry. So every Sunday I kept saying it. Well, this last August, we're here at the church, and I was telling somebody I was praying that we'd become closer together, and Peg walks out of the back room and says, You got your answer. Your prayer was answered. I said, what are you talking about? She said, for one, our niece was on drugs. That's why she was stealing from us. And she wanted to be in Kentucky with her sister when she had her baby. And so when we found out she'd been robbing us, her mother packed her up and took her to Kentucky to her father, who would get her help. And he did. She was there for her sister having her baby. And then Peg says, look, we're on the same page. I didn't even see it coming. I said, couldn't the Lord have made the road a little less bumpy? But we don't choose that. When you ask for something, you may not be the person you need to be to receive it. You may be asking for something like I did, and all these things have to happen so you become the person you need to be to receive it. And if you don't know this, we don't control crap. God is the only one that controls it. God knows when the time's right, and then He has to make you right to receive it. God loves us all because we matter. It doesn't matter what we think. We all matter to God. You know, this church kind of reminds me of a pillar of stone. Because I know that no matter who comes through that door, they're going to feel warmth, acceptance, belonging, love, and most important, they're going to feel God right here.
Amen. Yes.
Never give up on God, because God will never give up on you.
Amen. Amen.
And now Peg and I are going to end this. She's not thrilled. I bribed her.
Yay, Peggy.
Okay, St. Margaret, come on.
This is way out of my comfort zone.
And if you all know this, please join in.
Hello? I got a red light. I must have scared it. Test me. No.
Press.
Button on the left.
Yeah, that's what I'm pushing. Test. Nope. I scared it. Okay.
I'm not doing it by myself.
How many prayers are answered?
Just, all right, yay, here we go.
Brad. Okay, I got one.
There seems to be a technical problem.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
That was God in control.
I think, okay. Oh, okay. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is present, and where He is holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is present, and where He is holy. These are holy hands. He's given us holy hands. He works through these hands, and so these hands are holy. These are holy hands. He's given us holy hands.
He works through these hands, and so these hands are holy. This is holy ground. We're standing on holy ground. For the Lord is present, and where He is holy.